ride up to Tinpool Springs in Pingdong. It's a gorgeous riverbed, and after 8 months of drought, water levels were at 56-year historic lows. This made it possible to get places that just weren't possible in other years. Still, many of the river crossings were quite deep, the rocks were slick, and it was very challenging. The most challenging part of the ride was the sustained large rocks that you had to ride over. It caused fatigue in the short and long term and just made it quite a grueling and adventurous ride. Here we passed some hikers, and when we would stop to rest, they would pass us again. They were really friendly, and they all wanted to take selfies with us. This section is quite rocky and challenging, and we were just trying to power through and look like we knew what we were doing. In this part, we are a few meters above the river, and the plateau ends, and so we have to cut down. It's quite a steep little drop with huge rocks at the bottom, and I hesitated a little bit and then just went for it. The crossing is probably the deepest one with the biggest rocks. It was definitely a pucker moment when the engine started misfiring from high water and water in the coil. But I made it through without too much trouble. I kept getting more fatigued, and I picked a bad line through these rocks. I wanted to go left, but the tire went right, and so I hit this big rock and just fell over. I'm gonna keep going. The sustained nature of the large rock sections becomes grueling over time. You have to use so much clutch, especially in the river crossings, to keep from stalling out, that your clutch hand gets extremely fatigued, and it becomes key to use proper technique. After I hit a real low point and basically couldn't pull the clutch in anymore, we took a rest, and I changed up my strategy. I began standing up more on the pegs and using the clutch less. When the rocks are smaller and it was a little more smooth, I would not use the clutch and just cruise and save energy. Even so, there are plenty of these rocky sections that made it super challenging. Up ahead, Feihan fell over in these big rocks, so I knew they were going to be pretty tricky. Because of the S-curve back and forth nature of these rocks, you can't get into a rhythm and stay into a rhythm. Line choice is very key in making it through clean. By this point, the sun was high and the riverbed was becoming absolutely scorching.
Let's keep going. Yeah.
Luckily, we were almost there.
That's it. We made it.
We did.
The final approach to the riverbed is really tricky with a sharp drop and a turn. I had a look at the straight line that the trucks were taking across the river, but it was a good thing Veihan went to the right over the bigger rocks because it was deceptively deep there. Even the place we crossed was quite deep. On the other side, we scrambled up the hillside and made it up to the hot spring. The hikers who had passed us earlier were chilling and waved to us. Veihan took the line straight up the side, which I was a little skeptical of because of how slick it looked, but he went right to the side where it was clear. I picked the more traveled section where the 4x4s climb. The trip back was even harder. I got into a rhythm and was able to hold the fatigue at bay and find an equilibrium. But we ran into some trouble. I got ahead of Veihan and stopped and waited for him. When he didn't come, I did a U-turn and went back. I found that he had fallen over and punched a hole in the side of his case. Fortunately, I carry 2-part epoxy, and we covered the hole with a 1NT coin and pasted it in. After taking a break in the shade and letting it harden, we continued on and it held to the end. Then, just as we were exiting, I realized that I had a flat tire. I had got a pitch flat in the rear tube and we limped back to the trucks. All in all, we only did about 40 kilometers, which is not a big day for us. But it was much harder than it would seem, and we really felt like we did something.
Flat tire? I can pump you up in no time.
No, I have a pump.
Oh, but is it nice? I'm so proud that I'm a pumper now.
Oh, do you have the lithium ion one?
No. I have to use my armor. Sorry, thanks.
I think it'll be fine. I think if I...
The uncle who can fix it for you down in town.
Huh? What?
The guy who fixed mine last time, he can fix yours. So we must just get there.